We're excited to have these students join us. Welcome to the SPJ family. As you may know from my weekly videos to the membership, our SPJ committees and communities continue doing great work. A shout out to Yvette Walker and the Journalism Education Committee. They have been busy this year, working on several new projects and making sure our established projects are still strong. Thank you to Meredith Cummings, who has been instrumental in keeping the Press for Education initiative going. She plans to step back, and right now the committee's looking for a replacement. So if anybody's interested, please let Yvette Walker know. Thanks to Meredith's leadership, listen to this. She has more than 300 SPJ volunteers across the country who are going into schools talking to students of all ages. About what? About journalism, about making sure people care about journalism. That's important. The Journalism Education Committee also moved forward with a pilot mentoring program. Now, we should all learn from this and do the same in our own backyards. It includes college journalists at the Sun, the newsroom at Southwestern Community College, and professional journalists at the San Diego Union Tribune. Thanks to Elizabeth Smith and Katerina Spazovlaska for coordinating this program. Thank you so much. Yes, we're going to do a lot of clapping today, you guys, because we're together.
Yeah.
Also, we started the first SPJ Sports Journalism Committee. This committee is aimed at engaging with sports writers, reporters, columnists around the country and create networking opportunities. But we need to bring sports journalists into the fold. They are storytellers too. The chair of the committee is Jeff Cole, a sports reporter and anchor in Dallas, Texas. He's in the process of setting up this committee. If anyone is interested out there, please contact Jeff Cole. You can also find him on Twitter. And the SPJ MMJ Task Force has come out with the first SPJ MMJ safety guidelines. Now, I want to say thank you to the board, because remember in January, we brought this issue to your attention after a woman was almost killed on live television, remember? And you guys said, let's move on this right away. Within a week, we had a town hall with more than 130 participants, many from RTDNA and PPA. They were all so glad that we did this. Well, you know, from that town hall, I created the task force. After, you know, we had a lot of talking among especially TV broadcasts. And just a few days ago, they released the guidelines. We hope the guidelines will help television news managers create safer working conditions for solo TV reporters. Thank you to the task force, but thank you to you, board members, because you helped make this happen. The task force just took it one step further and made sure they wrote up guidelines that will exist forever. By the way, we're getting a lot of hits on the website for it. Jennifer told me that, which is great. More eyes on our website, more eyes on this organization. I also want to say thank you to Nicole Sartain, who chairs that task force. And while I'm at it, Erwin Gratz and Hagit Lamore are here from the SPJ Foundation. Raise your hands. Hi, guys. Sorry, I want to thank you for your leadership and guidance. Thank you so much. Continued success. Hagit, you're going to be taking over soon as president, right? I hope so. Yeah. Congratulations. Much success. Okay. I'll have more at the end, you guys, okay? A lot of thank yous. I'm going to, you want to do your introductions first, or do you want to go into public comments? It's up to you.
Let's do staff introductions real quick, because they've got lots of work to do.
So I'm going to throw you over to Jennifer Royer. By the way, let me just say something about Jennifer Royer. She is our interim executive director. This woman is amazing. And I was going to say this later on, but there's so many moving parts to SPJ right now. There's things that I wish I could be more forthcoming that she's got to deal with. We all have to deal with, and that, you know, we're not at really liberty to talk about it right now. But I will say this: a lot of moving parts. You know, we have a budget, we have media staff, we had, you know, our executive director move on to his happy place, and you know, Jennifer didn't miss a beat. She did not miss a beat. You know, you made my life easy. You made everybody's life easy. This woman answers emails like that. I thought I was good. You're good.
And she picks up phone calls.
And she
like that.
answers phone calls. And so I want to thank you publicly in front of everybody out there who will see it on video for the rest of our lives. that, you're a strong leader. You really are. And, those people like you were just a communications director, you're far more better than that. I mean, you were always good at that too. But, I just want to thank you publicly. I know our board thanks you because the transition has been flawless. And, one of the things that she showed me is that she's got the guts to speak up when there's noisemakers, when there's distractions, even when people say, hey, can you give me a ticket to media events? This woman has her place, so congratulations.
Well, thank you, and that's a good kind of transition, I guess, because I couldn't do anything without these people. So, but I will let them go through and kind of tell their name and what they do for SPJ, what they're doing here. But yeah, like I have to say, like Zoe, I don't know if I can do this without crying. She's stepped into my role as communications director. He's done a great job. Linda and Crystal came back and retirement and other things. And
Zoe, can you turn your laptop that way so people can see? I mean, they can see me, but this is the staff that she's introducing. Make sure you guys wave. Continue.
And just like everybody else, Rod, Lou, Matt here, and they've all just been so supportive and helpful, and they're just great people. So anyway, go through, introduce yourselves, because we haven't seen anybody in person for like 3 years.
Let's start with Linda.
I'm Linda Hall. I'm retired.
Yeah.
I retired in March after 17 plus years, but I'm happy to ever come back and do anything for SPJ,
Oh.
especially for Jennifer.
Oh.
Thank you.
I'm Rod Hicks. I'm the Director of Ethics and Diversity for SPJ. I've been here for 4 years. This is the second role that I've had. When I entered here, I focused on media trust. Now I focus on ethics and diversity.
I am Crystal O'Keefe. I worked for SPJ from 2015 to 18 as the membership coordinator. I had a lot of roles, I had a lot of hats. And now I'm back. I just started back again in September, and now my focus is membership and really re-healing some chapters, bringing chapters in. So that's my big focus, is membership and chapters.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lou Harry. I'm a career journalist. I've been with SPJ a couple of years now. I edit Quill and quillmag.com and manage our awards programs, SDX, LOE, New American, all the way down to a lot of the awards you're going to be seeing this weekend. And looking forward to continuing to grow those programs.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
So I'm Matt Morris. I'm the Director of Development, and I've been we talked to John, talked to Jennifer about getting back on track in terms of, how do we come off of this pandemic. And the big thing, my focus is really building relationships with people, being collaborative with chapters and with our boards in focusing on metropolitan areas and prioritizing where do we have where's the density and how can we partner locally and do some things for the organization and raise some funds. So I'm all ears now because I got my first hearing aid. So I'll really I'll appreciate your input, and feel free to email me or call me anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate everybody and the work of Matt, because you need to do some really strong fundraising before you do fundraising, and and the long-term view is really important to all of us. I'm Karen Nishimura-Sneath. I serve as the Director of Education, and in addition to working with this wonderful, gigantic event, I also get to work with the Student Leadership Institute for our chapter and members at large who are undergraduates ready to go into the workforce, and also the Future Leaders Academy, which is supported by the SPJ Foundation, to build up our bench for future leaders who may end up in these roles someday.
Nice.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zoe Berg. I am our communications specialist, and I am assistant editor to Quill, so I work a lot with Lou on that as well. I handle all kinds of communication from social media, emails, newsletters, press releases, anything you can think of.
And you run our international office in England.
Wow.
Yes, SPJ headquarters is very remote. And perfect timing.
Send me out on Zoom. I'm Katie Riggs. I'm your director of events, and I support the organization for anything annual conference. So Media Fest here, and then looking forward to contracting your future hotels like Planet Hollywood for 2023. I also support the SDX Awards when we go back live, particularly. So finding a home for it, and so just supporting logistics for that, and then supporting logistics for Karen on any of the leadership programs that she needs a home for when those are in person.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Now get back to work.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me see where I'm at here. Okay, now we're gonna go into public comments. Remember, as always, our board is about being positive and productive. If you have any concerns, please give us some constructive solutions or answers. Okay, let's go into public comments. Who wants to speak first? Thank you for the same people who show up. I appreciate you. You get 2 minutes. Claire, you'll give a 30-second warning, please. Because I don't want to spend all day in this little room. Anybody? Any public comments? Hazel, come on up. Come on over here, Hazel, so they can see you on camera.
So can public speakers go right in the center?
Come over there, Hazel. Yes,
I am just here to represent the freelance community and to say thank you to everybody for the support that we have gotten from SPJ this year. And we have grown tremendously. We have almost 500 members now. And I know you will. And many of our members joined SPJ through the freelance community. So we're glad that we can be supporting the membership drive. And also to say that the staff has been incredible. The support that we've gotten, and particularly from Karen for our fellows. We'll have our first fellowship class this year with 3 people coming. And Karen and Linda and Jen made that.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it.
All right, don't leave Hazel. So first of all, especially for you viewers out there, let me just say something about Hazel Becker and her community, which is Hillary. I just lost her last name.
Hillary Niles.
Yeah, Hillary Niles. I'm sorry, Hillary. My head's not. First of all, I'm a freelancer. Been a freelancer since 2008. And freelancing communities are so important because when you don't get a job, they're the ones that say, keep going, keep going. When you're trying to have a better pitch, because there's so many people have pitches, they show you how to do it. And it's just a good network. And one of the things, the strength of our freelance community is that not only are they good about keeping things cohesive, but at the same time of bringing members from the outside, because I'm not sure how many other journalism organizations have freelance communities. Do you know?
1 or 2.
1 or 2. But ours are strong because they communicate a lot on Facebook. And you're very good, Hazel's very good about making sure, hey, today's Friday, what do you want to brag about, which is important. But more than anything, what I appreciate about this community is they know we don't have money. Freelancers don't have money. And they knew it was important to have a fellowship to allow people to come to this important media fest. And so I hope that other journalism organizations who see this will follow the lead of our freelance community, create fellowships, create that family atmosphere. And I also, as a woman of color, appreciate that you have brought in more people of diverse backgrounds because we belong everywhere, we freelance too. So thank you very much. A big hand to the freelance community.
Thank you. I want to acknowledge Erwin and Huggy because they brought the foundation to the table when we wanted to start a freelance fund.
Yes.
That's what's sponsoring it.
Yeah, and remember I brought up Pagit and Erwin, they run the foundation, they help with the money. They are the money people who help with that support. We have maybe the talk, they have the money and the passion. So thank you to Pagit and Erwin. Any other public comments? Anybody else want to say anything? Feel free, right here on camera. No? Okay, well.
I'm really happy to hear from the freelance community because I can remember a time when freelancers were considered like, oh, what are they doing here? And now when we look at organization, you see more and more freelancers are getting engaged, and we have to bring them to the table.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
There are opportunities for fellowships also that we need to share and.
We need to increase those, yeah.
With other organizations as well.
Freelance, the freedom to do what you want, that's what I said. All right, well, thank you very much, well, that was quick, okay, let me see, I'm looking back at my notes. Anybody else, sure? Nobody wants to, all right, okay, back to you, the interim executive director, Jennifer Aurora. Already congratulated you, so, let me see, what are we doing now? You're gonna have your report.
I'll keep it short and sweet, because I have been emailing you all, trying to weekly. There have been some weeks when it didn't happen because it was just so crazy, but, so you kind of know what I've been up to the last couple months. And it has been a whirlwind since I stepped into this role right before convention. There was a lot of last minute decisions to be made and planning to do and just work to be done. So I'm glad we're finally here and together. So I think my communications role really helped prepare me to step into the intermediate position because as communications director, I kind of touched every area of SPJ headquarters. So I was already familiar with putting together board packets and attending board meetings and dealing with membership and awards and really, I always tell interns when they come into the comms team, like you've got 12 bosses at headquarters because we do things for every area. So, I felt pretty well prepared. It's no secret that the member database has been one of all of our biggest concerns. I did do a couple of trainings with Apexian just so I could get familiar with how it works and what it's supposed to do. And I think there are some issues with it as far as just pulling accurate data from it. I also think maybe some of it depends on the user and how well they understand how the database works. So, my biggest concern with it right now is just there's so many options to choose when you're building lists and things that it can just be really cumbersome. So I'm hoping after convention to get back into some training and really digging into that deeper because the contract does come up in the spring and we'll need to make some decisions about do we tough it out and try to get it to work or do we want to look somewhere else? I honestly am not optimistic that there's anything out there that does exactly what we need it to do. But we might be able to find someone who can tailor something to meet our needs better. So lots of conversations coming up for that.
Can I jump in real quick here? I think my biggest concern with this membership database, because it has been my pain through my presidency, is that we're paying them how much?
A lot.
But you know how much? It's public, so.
Well, yeah, I think. I just looked at the contract recently.
Well, here's the
I
thing,
can't remember
I mean,
numbers.
with the money that we're paying them, you would think that they would help us troubleshoot many areas. Now, what I do appreciate about Jennifer is that she jumped in and started learning the system from the inside out instead of just depending on somebody else to go, I often heard, let me find out from so-and-so, let me find out. And she knows, she's been taking those classes, which is important. But I also think that because you're taking those classes, you're going to be able to see the weaknesses right away and be able to tell Claire and her board where we should do better, you know what I mean? Because if we have to rip the Band-Aid off, in my opinion, rip it off. Because there's nothing like having a chapter say, I can't find 25 of my members. That is just ridiculous. That is, let me just be transparent, you guys. Me, the president, when I asked her about my renewal, I wasn't even on the list. The president. That's just crazy. So, I strongly recommend that, you find the weaknesses and strengths and definitely tell the next board. Because the main thing is we should not be unafraid to have change. And, I know that you've been calling the other journalism executive directors to talk about their membership databases. Yeah, find out. You've been very assertive about finding information, and that to me, in my presidency, is music to my ears. It would have been music to my ears in the beginning of my presidency, but beggars can't be choosy, right?
I just wanted to point out for the members that from the beginning of Rebecca's presidency, and in fact before that, we had identified problems within Pexium before. We knew this was an issue. And I know the members are, why isn't this being fixed? Why isn't this being fixed? Valid concern, valid critique. However, please do be assured that the leadership of SPJ has been on top of this issue all year long. And to think, I mean, we all know that Rebecca can be an assertive person. And to think that she can be on top of this issue for an entire year and we're still dealing with the issue, trust me, it's the issue, not the leadership. It's, you know, we are putting our all into making sure that this gets fixed. And it's not for lack of trying. And I do believe it's impacting. I do believe that is the problem. But you know, you're the staff. This is what you do. Let me know if you agree with that assessment or if you want to do something else. I gave up about 2 months ago on it. You know, there was just nothing else for me to discuss because I keep hearing we need more training and we need to do this. We've had this thing for 2 years now.
I think the different thing here, in my opinion, is that as the executive director, she went in there
Right.
to look at the brain of it instead of depending on someone else to go, well, let me get that answer. And
My concern is that she had to.
Yeah,
That
but
she should not
anybody
have had
should.
to. Right.
You
But
know,
it's,
any leader's gonna go in there and jump in and say before, I mean, I think it's important. I applaud her for doing that.
Absolutely.
Emily, did you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, are the folks at Pexium working with us? Like, do we have a case specialist? Because I feel like if we're paying them so much money, like, shouldn't they be trying to keep us around?
Right.
Is that helpful at all, or is it just going in circles?
It's kind of going in circles. I've got a contact who gave me the first couple of trainings and I reach out to him pretty frequently and he's helpful. And they have like, it was a huge favor to give me free training. I mean, not charge me. I know. And I'm gonna, suggest they give me more free training after a convention. But, we have to submit a ticket if we have a problem. They're pretty responsive. They usually get back to us within an hour or two, which at convention registration, we need it quicker than that. But, so there are things in place to get help, but it's sometimes not very helpful.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing enough to keep our contract.
That's
to be
kinda
honest.
how I
I mean,
feel
if
too.
I had a contract, I would be bending over backwards. Danielle McLean, did you have a question?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the updates you guys have been providing throughout the year on, the kind of status of these issues. My question is, it's kind of a lot of work and with a lot of expertise and knowledge to, kind of determine what the best CMS or the best website system is. And I appreciate all your best efforts to get training and caught up, but would you benefit, Jennifer? It's obviously not something that this board would deal with, but would it benefit you to have an outside consultant or a third person to kind of come in and let you know about the options, and kind of figure out how to make improvements where needed to kind of best fit our membership?
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and I can see where that could be helpful in some ways, like somebody who's an expert on these kinds of databases and knows what's out there, and we can explain our needs to them. I know that would cost money, and that's another issue and thing that I'm tackling. But yeah, that's a really good point, and I would definitely, if we decide to go a different route, we need to really do our homework and really investigate what the best option would be. So, yeah.
Good suggestion.
My thoughts are, it would be important just because this is probably one of the most important things that we do, having in terms of our communication and our outreach to our members and trying to get new members. So, a better system could help us recruit new members and help us get have a more a better functioning society. I think that would itself pay for whatever costs would be for a new consultant. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with her because, we lose money when our members are like, wait a minute, I'm not even on the roster, So if we, imagine all the money we could save that we could put into a consultant, maybe not that expensive, that can help guide you independently. So something to Claire Regan, I'll leave it to you. I'm sure I wrote it down. Daniel McLean. Anybody else? Israel Valdez.
Yeah, just quick question, Jennifer. I know you don't have the exact cost, but are we talking about 5 figures, 6 figures? where are we in the ballpark when it comes to cost of Impexium?
I don't think it was 6 figures.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
It's under 6.
Yeah.
So the thing that surprises me the most is the number of services that are out there that, for example, provide apps for members, right? There are now websites and services that also do donor engagement, which certainly I know you've been focusing on. How do we get more donors, right? The $1 million, the $2 million. And I'm wondering if part of what you're going to do over the next 6 months is to consider, right, if we spend up now, how much is going to be the cash return in the next 5-10 years, right? So that we can engage those donors. Obviously, membership is important. I don't want to belittle the members, but certainly if we can also engage the donors through cloud services, that's going to help SPJ for the long term, right? So I would at least say, there's services like Bloomerang, D2L that, they focus on that. And maybe we broaden our horizons beyond just the membership.
I think that's a great idea. And, I remember IMIS was supposed to help us with, tracking donations, tracking membership, communicating with members. There are always all these promises about what these systems can help us do. And, I think part of it is the system. I think part of it is the information that's put in the system. And when we migrated from IMIS to Impexium, I think we lost a lot of information, like this historical information on, okay, this person has donated this many times. So it's very frustrating to know that, we've lost some of that good data.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great point.
Well, I think that you have done the best job you can to catch up with this mess.
Absolutely.
It's a mess. And I appreciate all the members out there that understand it is not the board's fault. I appreciate the chapter leaders who have contacted me and understand it is out of our control. We can only do so much unless we show up together at Impexium and say, let's get this matter taken care of. But of course, pandemic is a pandemic, we have flown over there. But I appreciate that you've done this. And, again, Jennifer has been very proactive, not waiting for someone on her staff to give her information. She's in the middle of it. She's in the nitty gritty. That's what we need in a leader, to get in there and get the answers instead of saying, let me get back to you. Nothing frustrates a president and a board than to hear that kind of explanation. So thank you.
And Madam Chair, and real quick, I was at the SPJ Georgia meeting this Saturday. Very first thing, when I showed up and said, hey, I just want to say hi, it was membership. So you're right on the money, right? That in the minds of both at the chapter level and at the board level, that's the conversation they're having.
San Diego had the same thing. I've been meeting with a lot of chapters on my way out, just to hear the same thing. And I told them, I don't make promises, but we can do the best we can. We're only human. Yes.
Every meeting that I go to in Fort Worth, it comes up. And the flip side is that every meeting, when it comes up, there's also praise for the staff and the response. They're getting it handled. But it's cumbersome, and for some people, and even like our freelancers, folks who don't have a lot of money, they don't want to make it hard to get their money and to make sure that they're recognized.
So, by the way, everybody who doesn't know, Cheryl Smith is also part of the SPJ Fort Worth Pro chapter, for giving us that insight. Anything else? Anything else? No? Okay. Do you want to give us an update on Media Fest 2020?
Sure, yeah. I'm really excited to get things kicked off. I'm excited for the boat ride. I hope everyone here can get there early and get on the boat because it's gonna be packed. But that's gonna be a nice kickoff. We've got just SPJ attendees. We have over 700 so far registered. CMA and ACP have over 1,000. And we're expecting quite a few walk-up registrations as well. So it's one of the biggest conventions in person that I can remember. I've been here 8 years. I've been told that Baltimore in like the early 2000s was pretty big. So we may not be, breaking a record, but it's still really good. Attendance is gonna be great. There's the opening business session coming up that you guys may want to attend. The closing business session on Saturday, President's Banquet, the Student Summit I would recommend going to if you can. And then I'm sure all of you probably were invited to the donor reception. If you weren't, go to that too. That's right after the Student Summit at the National Press Club.
And can you share a little bit about our sponsors? Because our sponsors are a big deal. Their money, their support matters. Because this is on video and I want our members to know how supportive we are. We did for the first time have the NBA come in. They're sponsors for our opening reception, the Potomac. So thank you to Mike Bass and his team at the NBA. They were very excited also that we have a sports journalism committee, excited about, we have sports journalism categories and awards. Like I said, we're gonna do our best we can to bring in the sports storytellers because they matter. We also have CNN, right? CNN, any others?
I'm trying to find.
I wish I knew them off the top of my head.
Meta, right?
Oh, yeah, they're on the
Scripts.
back.
Yeah, I'm just like here.
All right, we have CNN and who's there?
Meta.
Meta.
Thank you, Meta.
And then
And Scripts.
And Scripts.
Which are sponsoring the breakfast
Sponsoring the
Friday.
breakfast.
I think that's it, or at least on
Thank you.
the happy
Appreciate
hits.
it. And by the way, you sponsors, you're in the booklet forever and ever. I keep my booklet, by the way, NBA, CNN, Scripps Journalism Journey, Meta, thank you so much. Ohio University, Scripps College of Communications, American Press Institute, and Define America, the American Association for Cancer Research, GRAY, News Dashboard, and the University of Nebraska Press. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. It really matters. Thank you, Vicki. Appreciate you helping me out. See, our little team over there helps us out. All right, anyway, so anything else with Media Fest? Thank you again. This is gonna be my thank you goodbye because let me say, Jennifer, again, threw her in the middle of this whole thing. Our convention is not even all planned out. We talk every morning. And just, I mean, you know, I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate to have you by my side because I was in panic mode. I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, it's gonna fall apart, but no, we're here, we're together. Yes, Israel, about that.
I love that you picked WOA as our app for conference. I mean, the buzz that we've been able to generate, the community groups that we've been able to give, and I've been to a lot of other conferences, AC, AJMC, but this one by far has been the most fun. And so great choice going with this vendor.
Yeah, I gotta give Katie Briggs a lot of credit because she does a lot of different conventions and things, and this was one that she has used before and she recommended it, and once we took a look at it, we were like, yeah, that sounds.
It's the best UX I've experienced, and like I'm speaking at a few sessions, and I already have like questions coming in
Yeah.
before the session has started. It's
Yeah.
great.
Good.
Yeah, Daniela, you noticed that too.
Yeah, and it doesn't lag. I know I went to 2 conferences. I can't remember what app they used, but literally it would lag and it would refresh. This was like it's easy to use.
Yeah, 100%.
I noticed people on it like a week before convention and.
Some competitive people.
So competitive. So that was fun.
We're competitive, okay. So anything else that you wanna add to your report?
No, the audit is coming up on the agenda, so we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
And yeah, after convention, I wanna just, regroup with staff, talk about their goals, what they wanna accomplish, and just keep moving forward and hopefully just make headquarters running as smoothly as possible for whoever the next DG is, so.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, so Shanti Blaze Hopkins was supposed to be here this morning, but she's just catching a flight now. She apologizes that, flights are flights. We won't get into that. You saw the search committee came up with their top 3 consultants that they're thinking of, they believe should be the consultants that we should be looking at to look for our next executive director. As for you people out there, we have a search committee made up of 2 people from the foundation board. I chose 2 people that are not from the board, just independent, and the chair is also not from the board. All of them are journalists. They came up with 3. I would love to discuss this, but I think this is gonna be in the hands of the next board. So anybody have any comment? I mean, what I do appreciate is this search committee is on a timeline. They've kept to the timeline. I love that. It's not maybe mañana, we're doing it now, and that's important. Just a very efficient committee. I will say that. Anybody, any comments or anything? Israel Bandera.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is best to leave it to the next board, but let me just, at least now, express my concern. Just looking ahead, Certainly I talked to people who have gone with an executive director search without a search committee and with it, and there's pros and cons. My concern is what I raised a few weeks ago, and that is sort of the financial incentive to go with a search firm. So I'm pointing to Koya, for example. Koya is $59,000, but their incentive to prolong the search committee is quite expensive, right? It is in their best interest to go, gee, let's do 6 months. Let's do 9 months. And the other thing that I want to point out, and it's just a pointing out, it's not a criticism, but the search committee came to us and says, look, we're being told that we need to raise our salary. And now that I look at the contracts, I'm like, now it makes sense why they were wanting to go with a higher salary, because their fee is based on a higher salary. So they actually are making more money because they gave us that advice. And so I'm a little concerned that the one that I thought was upfront was Envision Consulting. I looked at their stuff. It's straight up. It's whether it takes 6 months or 9 months. And I imagine for the next president, right? I've heard you talk. You want sooner rather than later. Fair enough. Envision sort of says, we're going to help you in that end. But I am concerned, future president, that there's a lot of ways that we can lose money really quickly with these 3 vendors. So I would say make sure and scrutinize the contract, because I would say our attorney is going to have to tell us these are the potential pitfalls.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'm sorry, Cheryl?
Very good point.
Yeah, very good points. I again, it's something that I wish we could have resolved, but it all happened, just a few months ago for us. So I trust that Claire and her board will take the right direction. The good thing is that you're already in the mix of everything. All right, moving on, Jennifer, back to you on the finance report that includes a look at the results from our audit that we finally got.
Yes, we did. It took a little longer than normal because we went with new auditors this year. It's my understanding that's kind of a best practice after you've gone with a certain group of auditors for several years. It's good to have fresh eyes and look at everything and maybe catch things that the former auditors didn't wouldn't have. But it came back a clean audit. Jake has reviewed it, Landry's reviewed it. I think I mentioned in an email, there was one thing that they pointed out that was happening in 2022 about check signing, and that's been remedied this year. So
Can I ask how? That was my biggest concern of this whole audit report, and I have like 3 notes.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to continue and then come back to that, or you want to pause and say, how did we remedy the idea that big checks were signed without 2 signatures?
I mean, it's pretty simple. We just had to add more signatories. I think it was just John for a while, and they added Lou, and now that I'm interim, I've been added. So yeah, it was just adding somebody else who had the authority to sign off.
But there was no indication that there was any abuse of this. It's just that this is a bad idea because of what could happen.
Exactly.
And it was several checks. How many checks?
That I don't know.
Okay.
I can find out for you.
I definitely would like to know
Okay.
how many checks over $10,000 were signed only by the executive director. And I'd like to know to whom. Those are big checks. Those are the checks that when I look at the accounts receivable and payables, they don't show up. And I'd like to know whom received those checks.
So yeah, other than that, I really don't have anything.
Anything from the audit
finance-wise.
that you feel popped out that was other than that?
No.
Because
I mean, it was pretty clean. There were no concerns. Jake and Landry didn't have any other concerns, so.
I do want to jump in real quick. There have been some people who have put it out there in the mix. I've seen it in private gaggles and emails about, oh my gosh, the board never had a finance report since April. Let me just say that our comptroller, who's the guy that deals with all our money, he's been on personal paid leave. We have an accountant that has been helping us, as I said before, there's a lot of moving parts. And there's also some issues that right now are sensitive that I can't really talk about. But I want to assure the membership out there that there are no financial problems, even though there's a few that continue to make noise about it. Because believe me, if anybody's going to be transparent and truthful, it's Rebecca Aguilar. I'm known for it. And you see me on Twitter, I'm out there, got nothing to hide. But, it always just seems like these people have to find something negative when, as I've told you before, my board is about being positive and productive. So I just want to let you know that while I wish I could talk to you about things pertaining to the finances of SPJ, we have our audit, we're functioning, we have a great media fest, and if there was ever any problems in Paradise, the first person who would be in front of your face would be Rebecca Aguilar. So I just want to let everybody know out there, because when I get these copies of private gaggles and emails and, Rebecca Aguilar is doing this and that, it's like, people, chill out, get a life, We're doing the best we can as a board. Just wanted to put it out there. Anything else, Jennifer?
No, normally I think we would talk more about the 2023 budget, but because of the reasons you just said, we honestly haven't started on it. But we're hoping to do that in the next couple months and have it ready to talk about in December. So that's really all the finance report.
Wow, are we gonna have a board meeting under an hour? No, because if you're about this, it's still talking. No, I'm just kidding.
I would like to go through a couple of details on the audit report. Jennifer, the report said there have been no initial selection of accounting policies. Are we adopting accounting policies that the auditors say it's in our best interest to adopt best practices of accounting policies?
I believe so. I know Linda's been working on a lot of policies and updating things and looking at best practices. And he's been in communication with Jake, so I know they're working on things. I can't really give you specifics right now, but ask me after convention and we'll revisit it.
One of the things that I would implore you, that I implored the former executive director, I feel like he ignored me when I said this a year ago, and the audit report confirms this. And that is, we need to both consider the significant financial statements, not just of the current situation, but future effects affecting this. And I implored the executive director a year ago, please consider that we're going to get into an inflationary period, followed by a recessionary period. And we need to consider those in future forward-looking statements, which I haven't seen that in the past year. Now, that was the executive director prior, I get that, but I would at least raise the same concern I had a year ago. We need to make sure that our accountants are looking ahead and going, gee, if we do go into a recession, how is that going to impact us when we make these statements? That's very important. The other thing is, I was concerned that we do not have cash equivalents that high when it comes to a 3-month period. And why is it that I see that maybe at the end of 21, we have 174,000, but when it comes to cash equivalent on hand, it's very little. That concerned me. Why is that?
It concerns me too. And I just don't have a good picture of cash flow right now. This year has been really challenging. We had a staff accountant that left, we had to hire a new one. The sale of the building took a lot of time for the accountant and controller.
Controller took personal leave.
Yes.
And it's hard to predict when he's returning.
And it's just, finance is a lot like membership to me. Those are my top 2 priorities to really dig into and get straightened out. Unfortunately, they're also like 2 of the areas that I didn't have a lot of involvement in as communications director. But as soon as we kind of know more about the controller's situation and moving forward, we'll be able to dig into this better and have some more solid answers for you. But we've got a lot of money going out right now for convention sponsorships, and things will start coming back in and things will look better. SPJ has to request money from the foundation periodically to help cover salaries and, overhead and all of that kind of stuff. And we haven't made that request this year. So we'll have some money coming in from that. Yeah, so.
Well, then that leads me to the next question then, and that is, at the end of 21, we had cash and cash equivalent of 74,000. Would you have any idea how much we're at it now? Okay. This is another thing that I raised with the previous executive director, and that was $142,000 at the end of 21. He made it sound like that was a good thing. I thought that was a bad thing that we only had 142,000 coming into 22, because without the Paycheck Protection Program of 195,000, but for that, we would have been at 50,000 in the red. Number one, in a period of 2 years when we've cut our cost by 50%, right? So how was it, and I never had an answer from the previous executive director, that we cut our cost by 50%, got almost $200,000 from the government, and yet we're only coming in 172 in the black? That was never answered to me. And so when I look at that, I'd love to get your opinion. Are we running a very hot source of expenses? In your mind, where are we on expenses right now?
Are you still trying to get through all the clouds?
I am. I don't have a super clear picture, but I do think in recent years, we've spent a lot of money on things we probably shouldn't have. And
Can you give me one or two examples of that?
Like the money we spent to get out of the Blackboard contract. Because
I'm sorry, which contract was it?
Blackboard, that was what we signed with before we went to Impexium.
Okay.
And realized that wasn't going to be a good database for us. So then we went to Impexium, and it turns out like I don't think either one of them are any better than what we have with IMUS. So hindsight and all that, but I think that's one example of where
We paid to get out of that contract.
yeah.
And then she's also finding a lot of the hidden, let me just say, because I've had conversations, maybe you forgot to, but she's finding small things that we're spending on that is just ridiculous. Case in point, the former executive director rented a copy machine, a Xerox machine kind of thing. Right now,
the physical office, yeah.
that machine now is in storage and we're paying $300 a month, correct? Because we can't get out of that contract. So these little costs are here and everywhere that, of course, as an executive director, the staff answers to him. I mean, of course, he answers to the president of this board.
Yeah.
But how was I supposed to ask about a copy machine? Until she's finding, and that's why I give you applause, she's finding these small costs that every dollar, it's adding up. And so while I appreciate the questions you're asking her, this is a person that has been thrown into the middle of the fog and she has to find clarity, right?
Yeah.
Because as she examines everything, like a journalist, she's realizing, what the hell, why do we spend this money here? So I hope that with the next board and I love all the questions you're asking because those are the questions, and I do remember when you brought it up with the former executive director, the concerns you had. But out of fairness to her, we threw her in the fog.
100%. Yeah, and notice that's why I keep saying, it's not you. I keep reiterating, this is a conversation we've been having for a year. And again, to the next board, Madam Future President, right? These are the things that I would say to you. I'm when Rebecca leaves, I leave, right? So therefore, this is now in your shoes, and these are questions that you need to raise. Like, for example, we are paying for office space that no one is there for, right? And so I'm sure the next board will deal with, should we get space?
Well, I think she's already looking at cost-cutting measures.
Excellent.
And it's gonna
Thank
save
you.
the board, just in the office alone, if we can get rid of it, 20 grand, at least.
That's great.
Every piece of money is gonna catch up. I think that she's very progressive. I think that if she has a board that gives her the flexibility and not stuck in the, if I hear it again, oh, we used to do it in the old ways, that's the past. This is 2022, live in the moment. And the beauty that I appreciate from her is that she gets it. She gets it.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so you are saving us money, and I'm sorry that we have to ask these tough questions. Israel.
She knows that. She knows that I'm going to do it. And last question. I'm not asking for a definitive. are we going to make money off of Media Fest 22?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay, because I want to admit I'm wrong, because I was wrong. A year ago, I said, we're going to lose money because we're still in a pandemic. Members it's going to be expensive to go. Right now, they can't afford it. They're afraid maybe they're going to lose their job. So I want to go on the record and say, I was wrong. I thought we were going to have fewer.
Don't worry, I'll say it on Twitter.
I'll put it on video wrong later.
No.
I didn't hear it.
But are we looking to make money off of this?
We are. Katie and I looked over the budget last week and kind of did an assessment of where we're at. There's a lot of sponsorship money that hasn't come in yet. We do, like I said, have a lot of costs going out right now, so it doesn't look great. But just based on the budget that she and John put together, and things that we know are going to be coming in, I think we do stand to make some money.
Okay.
Not a ton of money, but some money.
I'll take $2 over owing $2 any day.
You know, the beauty is, this is the first time in 2 years that all these people are showing up, 1,700, right? How many of SPJ?
Over 700.
Over 700. I remember the last time you and I talked was like 750. 750 people just for SPJ alone.
Yeah.
That's more than the other two put together.
Plus, don't forget the fact that we can recruit new SPJ members from ACP and CMA, right? So that's one. And then, of course, we're going to be raising money for the Legal Defense Fund, which I'm happy
All
doing
right, so
development.
let's talk about that. Zoe, can you turn the camera that way for him? Let's talk, I mean,
She's as president.
Yeah, but we need Israel.
There we go.
So one of the things that I thought was important is we need to make money. And I was at the IRE conference, Daniela Ibarra was there, and at a luncheon, they're like, everybody take out your phones, everybody take out your phone. All right, text this number and donate $10. And it was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna, by the end of this luncheon, they raised like $5,000 or $6,000. We were like, what? So I said to Jennifer, you know, when I realized we didn't have a fundraiser, you know, I mean, gone are the days of the silent auctions and the books and all that. So I said, you know, let's do something like this. Jennifer said, you know what don't we use a QR code? I was like, okay. So I said, for the Legal Defense Fund, Israel, former TV person, you take over. And so tell us the ways, and this is important for all the board members, you guys. We need to be involved. Tell us how we're gonna raise money for the Legal Defense Fund using modern technology. Go for it.
No, I think, you know, I've heard from a lot of folks that at the chapter level, they want to know more from the Legal Defense Fund. We want to raise more money from the Legal Defense Fund. And we all are here. You're there because you believe in the First Amendment. You believe that the journalists need to go out there and push buttons, but a lot of times they're threatened with legal action. We want to make sure that the Legal Defense Fund is there if there's ever litigation involved, that our committee looks at the case and says, yes, absolutely, we can advance First Amendment and ethical issues. So to that end, we're going to have stickers. Did you bring the sticker, by the way?
They're arriving Thursday.
They're all right.
Hopefully in the morning.
I can still, listen, if I can raise $5 off of that sticker, I'll raise $5.
So how does it work?
So we're going to have a QR code on stickers. You're going to see these stickers spread out. I've got a bunch of college students coming along. They love stickers. And my students are going to be like, hey, click on the QR code. And if you click on the QR code with your phone, you know, you can give $5. Can you give me $5? Can you say, you know what? The First Amendment is so worth it. I'm going to give up one Starbucks so that we can help a future reporter in litigation. And listen, I will raise any amount of money that I can for the Legal Defense Fund. I believe in it. I chair it. I know other people. Hagit has been part of that Legal Defense Fund. Other people here have been part of that Legal Defense Fund. And I want to make sure going in that the Legal Defense Fund is a help to you, Jennifer, not a burden, right? That we have, that this fund right here is worth it so that we can help our journalists. And I certainly have been saying this, we need to prepare for 2024. I think 2020 was just a trial run for how bad journalists are going to be attacked in 2024. And I think we need to beef up that fund so that we can be there in 24 if litigation arises. So I'm thinking ahead 2, 4, 10 years ahead. So QR codes, here, if you see them, click on them, give me $5.
Does it take you straight to just the Legal Defense site, or is it a special splash page? Cool.
It will take you directly to just the Legal Defense Fund.
Yeah.
Now, Matt Morris is going to have a foundation booth in the expo hall, and he also has a QR code that will take you to like all of the funds that you can donate to,
Gotcha.
including LDF.
So, yeah, there are a couple ways that people can do it.
100%. So nice job, great idea, Madam Chair, for suggesting that we could do a little side. Listen,
I said, we ain't lugging no books.
I'm a hustler, man. Let's do it.
Thank you so much. And so it's very important for all you people out there watching. There's probably about 3 people watching this right now. But
It's for posterity.
your moderators, you panelists, push that QR code, because in the end, especially as a freelancer, and I need a lawyer because I'm being sued, by the way, I've never been sued in 41 years, but it could always happen. I'm gonna lean on that legal defense fund to help in any way. So help us freelancers when we're pledged for the freelance community. Anything else? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh,
Actually, yeah, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
2 things real quickly. I would like for anybody who's on this board and continues on this board, think of yourself as a fundraiser. That's something that we haven't really trained on. We've talked about it a bunch. But, you know, as I was listening to Israel talk and you know, we talk about QR codes and $5, and I remember raising $80,000 in one night. And we did that because, and this is gonna sound silly, but because we asked. We seeded an audience with people we knew were gonna give, and we had them stand up and say that they were gonna give. And it inspired so many other people to get up and give. And this was not SPJ, this was NAHJ, but it was, we had worked out with the Ford Foundation a way of a matching grant. So if we raised $100,000, they were gonna match all of it. We did raise the $100,000, $80,000 of it was in one single night because of one reason only, because we asked. We are journalists, we are hesitant to ask people for money. You are a board member, get over it. That's my message to you. It's like when you are representing SPJ, it is, yes, you're a journalist, but you are a board member. You're fiscally responsible for the association. Give and encourage other people to give. I'm not saying that we can pull off the same stunt because I don't know if we get the same matching grant, but let's work on that. The other thing I wanted to mention, just very briefly, we were in Florida hit with a major hurricane last month. And I want to applaud a number of people, Emily Block, who I have not applauded publicly, but she started, long before this, she started a fund in the Florida chapter that was, it was called a Hand Up Fund. And it just gave grants to journalists in need, $100, just whatever you need, just let's do this. When I was trying to come up with some way of having hurricane relief for through SPJ, I had a conversation with Israel, and he mentioned that fund, which I had forgotten about. And he mentioned that fund, and I said, "Oh my goodness, let's get that fund rolling. Let's move that fund from people, journalists who are laid off, and move it to people who are in need because of what happened with the hurricane." So I got in touch with the chapter president, who is Israel's political opponent. And so we talked about that, Michael Koratsky. We talked about it, and very quickly we were able to make the offer for members who were affected by the hurricane to access, instead of $100, we made it $200. When we announced that, my political opponent, Ashanti, said, "Hey, what about Puerto Rico?" And I thought, yeah, duh. Of course, Puerto Rico was hit with a different hurricane a couple of weeks before. So again, talked to Michael Koratsky, and we were able to take the fund from being a Florida chapter fund into being a Region 3 fund. And that way we were able to help not only Puerto Rico, but South Carolina, which was also hit by the same hurricane that hit Florida. All of which is to say that, these 5 people, but particularly the 4 who are at odds with each other on a ballot, but working together for SPJ, because that's what it's all about, making sure that our members are taken care of.
We've distributed $1,200 today.
Nice.
So I wanted to express thanks to everybody for making that happen just by talking to each other and just, I don't know there's so many moving parts to all the thing, but just putting it all together and just get out there and help people who need it. So I wanted to make sure, because I had previously talked about this, but I had never mentioned Emily's role in creating that fund in the first place. So thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you. And I think what's great is may Emily and the rest inspire other chapters to do the same when something's going on, fires, mudslides, natural disasters, even, but unfortunately mass shootings.
Our Hand Up Fund actually started, it was a few years ago when the pandemic started and furloughs were happening everywhere. But we were inspired by SPJ's Oregon chapter, who had done something similar first. So then we called ours the Hand Up Fund, and now other chapters have also been doing the same.
Love
Something
it,
to start
love it,
every
love it, love
chapter,
it, love it.
a domino effect. So I think that's important. And going back to fundraising, if you don't ask, they don't tell. I just happened to, someone connected me with the NBA. I go to NABJ, NHJ, Mike Bass, who's their communications person, texts me, can I meet you in person? Take Eleanor Vega with me. I'm outside the NABJ Sports Task Force, which was really nice. I didn't walk in there because I was so crowded. I thought, COVID Central. But it's a party. And I text Mike and I said, I'm not going in there, COVID Central. And he comes out, gracious, introduces me to all these ESPN bigwigs, right? That I see on TV. Inside, I'm like, oh my God. Outside, I was like, nice meeting you. And a few days later, I call him and I say, hey, I know you sponsored that task force. How about sponsoring something for us? And he's like, sure, what do you need? And I said, our opening reception. He's like, okay, sure, what do you need? And I told him what I need financially. He's like, sure, taken care of. I was like, why didn't I ask for more money? But he was gracious. I mean, the NBA's got gazillions of dollars. Thank you, Mike Bass, the NBA. I love basketball. I don't understand it, but next time, NFL, NBA, MLB, that's right. But again, and last year, NBC, I said, hey, come on in. They brought in money too. So especially of board members, if you got connections, use them. This thing about, it's very hard for me. It's very hard for me to ask for money. But I realized, especially since I'm a former TV person, if you don't ask, they don't tell. And some of these people, they have the money, they set money aside to donate. They want the opportunity to give. So please do, all of you, make it a goal, whether you stay on the board, I'm not gonna be on the board, but I'm still gonna help Claire because I want her to have a successful convention next year in Las Vegas, okay? All right, well,
I do
Sure,
think that's a part of board training because I serve on a lot of boards and that's the part, what do you bring to the table? And in the journalism organization, there are folks who say, I'm a journalist, I can't ask for it, but what you can do is present that information to the staff to follow up on. But we do have an obligation, but it comes, people don't know, you have a lot of people joining boards and they have not had the board training and they don't understand this is something that you should do. Either you give it or you get somebody else connected. Yeah, and so connecting those dots is really important. And if people know that this is a responsibility that you have, because what do funders do? And you get, they ask, what are your members doing? What is your board doing? How many people on your board have contributed?
They want to know that.
And we got to tell our story, right? Because SPJ has a great story. SPJ sells itself. But I got to tell you, I'm looking for the $1 million guy. I'm looking for the $2 million woman because they know we're under attack. And if we go in there and say, look, we can fight for the First Amendment if you just give us a little money, we're telling our story. And that's all it
I think what's
is.
important with a lot of these sponsors is they want to know where they include. Like the NBA, they needed to know that we had a sports journalism committee. Why we never had one in the history of SPJ freaks me out. They wanted to know that we have sports awards. Why didn't we have them in awards? That's, again, good financial stability for us. NBC last year, SPJ's been known as print. But when NBC came in,
Somebody just asked me yesterday, why they just print people?
Yeah.
And I said, no. And I said,
look at, the majority of the fellows in society, they're all broadcasters mostly, right? But I said to NBC, we're trying to expand into broadcasting. It's important. It's just not leave it all to RTD&A. Leave it to us also to include us. Me as a former TV person, so that's important. So, if you find these sponsors and you have a connection with them, ask them. Again, they want to see where we're including their community within us. All right, anybody else? Anything else? Oh my gosh, you guys, it's like 11:17. All right, let me see. So I'm gonna wrap up this board meeting. First, I want to say thank you to the SPJ staff. Are we gonna cry? No. Especially Jennifer, who took over an organization with a lot of moving parts, and they're gonna continue moving after I leave. She jumped in, took over the Media Fest, the audit. Just gonna remind you to all our viewers out there, the 3 that are sitting there drinking their Starbucks. Thank you and the staff for always making sure SPJ just keeps going, keeps moving. As for you board members, I know that Cheryl, Israel, Raphael, Danielle McLean, and we'll move on. I wish all of you who are running for a board position good luck. Thank you for volunteering to run for office. Claire Regan, Yvette Davila Richards, Daniela Ibarra, Emily Black, Rafael Omeda, Cheryl Smith, Israel Valderas, and Danielle McLean. Let me just say, this has been a pleasure. My pleasure to sit on this board. Sorry, I get emotional because it's been a crazy 14 months, but I know we've accomplished a lot. When I look at the recordings of our board meetings, and believe me, I look at them, thank you for being respectful of each other's thoughts and visions, because I've seen some other recordings, I wish we could take them down. I appreciate that sometimes when I said we need an emergency meeting and now, none of you have hesitated. I'm there, you were there because it was important for our organization. We accomplished a lot because we made decisions together. And every time I had a vision, I had an idea, and I asked you board members, I need your support, you always said yes. I mean, look at the M&J Safety Task Force. Look at the guidelines that are on our website. Did the other organizations do that? No, we did it first. We own it. And thank you for believing that being positive and productive is important to move this organization forward. There's no room for people who constantly make noise just to distract us. If I tell you board members, leave the distractors out, leave the positive in. Because at 41 years, if I'm a success, it's because I left them out. I don't have room for it. We also made history with the most diverse board ever, which includes one of the youngest board members, Daniela Ibarra, and Emily Black. 6 people of color.
Sure, that's all.
6 people of color, you guys, out of 9. That's important. The first trans woman. In
Butter, we miss you.
Look around. We represent America. We recommend what journalism should be in the newsroom, in the classroom. Let us not go backwards. Let's go forwards. Do you see? You should be proud. You should be very proud. Also, I have a small little gift for each one of you. I want you to pass it around. Pick yours.
Oh, what you made something.
Go first. Now, this is for you. I hope this gift motivates you to become a stronger leader. Look at it every day. Look at it every day.
I said our names are on
And, yeah, I left a little note in there for you. Look at this book every day, you guys, and be inspired. It's important.
Well,
I can stick just the note, the books.
I swear to God, Emily.
I know, I messed it up.
I'm sorry, you guys, I'm passing around books with that personal notes, and Emily just took us off track. But anyway, going back to the book, look at it every day. Be inspired. Sometimes when the noisemakers would get in my head or attempt to, I look at it and go, okay, remember, it's just not a small group. It's 5,500 plus people. 5,500 plus people. Remember that. I am a strong leader and a success as a Latina, as a woman, as a broadcaster, as a freelancer, because I do things my way. Because I don't let anybody get in my head, ever. I learned that from my immigrant parents, by the way. You all know that. So when I tell you whether you're going to stay on the board or run for another board, be your own strength. Never give away your power, which I never did. And believe in yourself. Because believe me, if I'm here today with this strong group of leaders, I'm a success because you made me a success. we're a success because we move forward when people try to pull us backwards at times. And yes, I'm gonna write a book, and there are gonna be some interesting emails in there. But let me just say that I wanna thank you, Clarita, for always being by my side for 14 months. I decided as president to share my platform with her. Because sometimes as a president-elect, a secretary-treasurer in the past, I felt like I wasn't included in conversations. She went to most meetings with chapters and the executive director, she was there. Included on all the emails, you saw that. I needed to make sure she was in the know about everything, everything. No secrets, nothing kept from her. I think women are really good about sharing. And this is gonna make for a smooth transition to president. And I really hope, and I know you will, share it with your vice president, and that person will continue sharing it and make it a movement. Never do anything alone. I know you're gonna be a great leader.
I want to thank you for including me. Because of you, I might just step right in. Thank you.
So, sorry, somebody's trying to call me. So we gotta start living in 2022 and stop thinking like we did, well, that's how we did it in the old days. Remember, we represent 5,500 members, not just a few. Journalists will always need SPJ, always need SPJ. I'm proud of being an NHJ member. I'm proud of being an NPPA member. I am proud of being an IRE member. But I'm most proud of to be the president of this organization for a couple more days. Each one of us made our mark, so be proud. Okay, so let's go into Media Fest 22.
Madam President, point to privilege, using Robert's rules. I don't think we can leave without at least me saying something about you. You and I have been friends for 12 years. We met running against each other at NHJ on the board. You won 65% to 35%. But what I've admired the most about you was long before you and I met. I knew you when you were a reporter. When you had been NHJ Reporter of the Year, and you were kick-ass journalist in Texas. And you've overcome a lot of adversity since I first heard Rebecca Aguilar. But I want to thank you personally for inviting me on this board. This board, these people that I've gotten to know, that today I felt like I needed to hug because I've only seen them today, but I've known them for almost 14 months. It has been such a joy and such a privilege to be here, to see you. I've learned so much from you. You and I have different leadership styles, right? I lead with the chin. Everybody knows that, right? Whereas you provide like positive leadership. You kill them with kindness. And I do appreciate that. I've learned that from you. And I said to you, when you leave, I leave. And I do hope the best for this board. But for you, I believe that the best days are yet ahead because you are an amazing leader.
Thank you so
and
much.
I'm not putting any other characteristics in front of the leader. You are a leader regardless of all the things that make your story. So thank you, because we face some really difficult situations. And the fact that Jennifer's here on the eve of a successful Media Fest, and she's calm, cool, and collected, but I know inside she's like, oh man, I can't wait till Sunday. It just shows how you are able to promote people and be an encourager. And so thank you, because I now take that to my classroom and tell people, if you can do it, they can do it too. So thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, here's the thing, if you can't build people up and your life is about tearing people down, it's a waste of energy. It's just a waste of energy. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. And yeah, there's going to be people out there that don't like you because, I'm in my 60s, because I'm a different skin color, because I'm a woman. I've heard it my entire life. But again, you don't get to this spot because you give away your power. You never do. Because those people will always be around, but I keep them, outside my circle all the time. Anything else, Jennifer?
Can I just want to
Sure.
add to Israel? I just also want to thank you for your passion and professionalism and for inspiring me and teaching me a lot this past year. I think this week, into the weekend. We are here for Media Fest, but also to celebrate your accomplishments. MMJ guidelines, I just used them in class the other night to teach my class. So they're already in the classroom.
And everybody was also on the task force.
Everybody who's involved with that, it was a great accomplishment. There are many, and I think we should celebrate them during Media Fest.
Thank you so much, Claire. Claire, I'm telling you, Claire was my right hand woman. I can say one next time. All right, anything else, guys?
There were a lot of challenges and COVID took its toll. I think all of us have lost someone, but then for me, I'm finding out people are gone that I didn't know because we've been, I used to walk past the desk in my building and see a woman. I said, oh, she's out because of, distancing and staying at home. No, she was dead. And so I watched, again, Israel, Claire, I watched her do things that I haven't seen. The mark of a true leader is what you put into others, and that you don't have to be the person who shines all the time. And putting up with adversity, and sometimes we're really hard on those who are leading. And you just smile, oh, well, it's gonna be okay, and kept on going and kept working, and we could all learn from that. There's something we could pick up from learning and positive. Our ultimate goal is to make SPJ better, to make journalism better, to make this world better. And it does not happen when we spend all our time fighting each other.
Well, we didn't fight each other,
And so
that's the beauty of us.
and exactly, and so that's the thing, is this organization grows and builds, and you say the best days are behind you. Some people, they reach their plateau, and I don't think you've reached it, because I know how people feel about her in Dallas, Texas.
Thank you.
And I know that they still, I remember her, and and the legacy it's always in a positive because you did the right thing. And I love the diversity, and I said, oh gosh, we needed more time. We got some work to do, and COVID cut it short, but we got strong leadership coming in, and you make it easier for you to be a leader because you were co-leading.
Yeah, we were co-leading because she was there with Jennifer, so it's smooth, yeah.
And so I'm excited about the future and look to hear some good things. And when we talk about diversity, what I'm saying is diversify that revenue stream.
Yeah.
So that the organization can get strong.
And that's another thing too, that the beauty of SPJ, it is predominantly white. It is. But what our membership showed, like I said, we're 6 people of color on a board of 9, 1 trans woman, young people, people in their 60s, right? Very diverse. We represent America. But what it says about our membership is, for those who talk diversity and inclusion, and there's a lot of talk, SPJ membership said, no, let's make it happen. And that's what I applaud our SPJ members, that they said it's time for, let's diversify the look and the leadership. And so I say thank you to the SPJ members out there, because I'm here because you voted me in this position. You didn't look at me like, she didn't grow up at SPJ and all that other stuff. You said she has the ability, and so do my colleagues here. So
And
thank
you're
you
a
so
Hall of
much.
Famer.
And I'm a Hall of Famer. All right, that's it. Anything else?
I've got like 3 things.
Okay, 3 things. We'll be counting down. Go ahead.
Well, first I do want to say thank you for making this transition so easy, and you're the best cheerleader I'll ever have. So you're really appreciate your support. Second of all, we would normally give the outgoing board members certificates and recognize you and applaud and all of that, but I don't know where they are. I don't think they got here.
Just one last thing to carry home.
I think they're in storage in a copy machine somewhere.
So we will get those when we get back to the meeting, and we will email them to you, I guess.
Okay.
And then Matt brought the LDF flyers that have the QR code, so if you all want to take
Okay.
one.
All right.
You
Yeah.
pass them around, and so stickers get them, that'd be great. We have lunch coming. I've tried to speed it up.
All right, so
Would you want to tour the space, so you can
Sure,
kind of
we
get a
can,
feel
can we
of
take a
where
tour of
things
this, you guys,
Sure.
tour the space and then lunch?
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right, and then we need a picture of the people who are here. All right, real quick, and thank you to, Bob and Hazel who made all my board meetings. Thanks for showing up.
Actually, I wanted to.
Hazel and Bob all for coming to the board meetings. Israel, you have to sit down for a second.
Sorry.
So let's close out my last meeting. I'll take a motion to, I guess, end the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Ed, Cheryl Smith, the board meeting is over. Do we have to vote?
It just,
Aye.
Aye.
No. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, you guys, it's over. Thank you so much.
Oh, there you go.